Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Truth Talk podcast. I'm back here with MI.
What's up, guys?
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Aaron Carter. Let's get right into it. A couple days ago, the former child pop star Aaron Carter passed away due to what police are calling substance-related issues. Aaron Carter first became famous in the late 90s, becoming a tween pop sensation by the 2000s, selling millions of records and taking the world by storm. As Aaron grew in the spotlight, he would eventually develop serious substance issues. The constant nights of partying in the limelight would end up getting the best of him. By the time the late 2000s came around, Aaron Carter was becoming a distant memory in the minds of aging children. Years later, when Aaron did an interview regarding his departure from the spotlight, he blamed it on greedy family members and management who Aaron claims took advantage of him since childhood. This is the same story we keep hearing from many child stars in the industry. This is the same story we recently heard from Jennette McCurdy, who accused her mother of taking advantage of her and using her for her financial gain. Or like Britney Spears' story, which again very similar, she was used for money even after she turned into an adult, being kept an industry slave under a conservatorship where her father was monetizing her life. I am actually considering making an updated Britney Spears video. If you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know below. Who Aaron Carter's situation reminds me the most of is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, just like Aaron Carter, was a child star who was used by many people all the way into the end of his life. Many people believe what happened to Michael was due to the ongoing battle with Sony Records, who Michael outed on many occasions. Michael seems to have made himself a target of some very rich and powerful men who quickly disposed of the problem. This is exactly what seems to have happened to Aaron Carter. Now, don't get me wrong, Aaron Carter did have some substance issues that were obvious, but what is strange is that Aaron, just like Michael, called out Sony Records and his parents for trying to take him out.
A lot of misdirection that I've had to do in order to protect myself from being the silence breaker for my brother now they're after my life. My whole family is after my life, and they're setting me up. And Sony Records owes me $3.5 million, and they don't want to pay me, and it would be in their better interest, just like Michael told me. And Brad Paisley, who sued Sony Records for $10 million. They owe me money, and they're trying to put me off. And
he claimed they wanted to get rid of him, and he was fearing for his life. He said this back in 2019 and 2020. Just like when Michael came at Sony, Aaron was gone soon after. This to me seems very suspicious, especially since Aaron went out like many other pop stars who the industry wanted gone. What's really interesting to me as well is that Aaron Carter passed on November 5th, which is again during the season of fall. Like I said at the beginning of October, I actually said this in September when PNB Rock passed. I explained that the harvest was coming soon, and we're going to see a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in general pass, because during this time is the festival of Samhain. During the time of the pagans, they would perform ritual offerings for the god of death. In my opinion, this could be expected every year. This is when occultists do this. If the pagans were known to offer their firstborn child, it makes perfect sense that these celebrities either offer each other, or like we saw with Quavo and Takeoff, where it appeared Quavo might have offered Takeoff. It's clear that something happens during this time of the year, and these celebrities aren't safe, because this is how the industry works. It is built off of pagan roots, and we can see this repeatedly. Just calculate how many artists have passed away during this season right now. So many. We lost PNB Rock, we lost Takeoff, Aaron Carter. So to me, it's a red flag that he so happened to pass away during the season of fall. And like I said again, Aaron Carter's case is very interesting. When you hear of Aaron Carter, you tend to feel that he was too far gone, he had these substance issues, but like I said repeatedly, over and over and over again, these artists tend to meet the same fate. They tend to go the same way. They tend to have the same story.
It's always substance related, especially when you're going against Sony.
That's exactly my point. If we talk about the Michael Jackson situation, Michael Jackson was definitely down with them. A lot of people think that Michael Jackson wasn't a part of the Masonic Order, and I already made a whole video. I might make an updated video on that one as well, because those were my old videos when I first started making YouTube videos. So it's a possibility that many people didn't see those videos. But Michael Jackson himself was definitely a Masonic puppet. But I believe towards the end of his life, he was trying to stand up to Sony because Sony was robbing him. Similar to what we're seeing now with Kanye. It's actually the exact same situation. I can't believe I didn't think of that before. Michael Jackson was just as influential and just as big, or probably much, much bigger than Kanye, honestly. But what I mean now, if anyone's going to be as close to him in our modern time, it would have to be Kanye West, because Kanye West was so controversial, but everyone still loves him. And that's the same thing we saw with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was known for all the stuff that happened, all the child accusations against him, but then he still had millions of diehard fans who, no matter what was said about him, they didn't care. And we see the same thing with Kanye West, which is extremely interesting because now we see Kanye West, who definitely is a Masonic puppet, still trying to stand against the industry to get what he thinks is fair. And hopefully he doesn't meet the same fate as Michael Jackson. You see what I'm saying?
I think he's gonna meet that same fate. I'm not gonna lie. My personal opinion is Kanye West is gonna see the same fate. I think he knows it because he spoke about it. So,
I think that's what happened to Aaron Carter. Wouldn't you say? Like, look at Aaron Carter's situation. Yes, he was on substances. Yes, all this, I understand. But he was on those substances for years. And all of a sudden today, out of all the days, he passes. Not long after, he starts talking about Sony in a bad way. Starts trying to expose the people that, brought him up. He even said that he thinks his family and Sony were after him and they were trying to take him out. He said those things out of his own mouth. So it's not far-fetched to think, he's gone now because of those very things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that it couldn't be because of his problems. That also could be a possibility. But is that we always have to look at it from the other side. V was warning us and telling us that this was going to happen. And this has already happened to so many other stars. Isn't it an obvious sign? You know what I'm saying? Isn't it pretty obvious?
Of course it's obvious, man. Come on, you're going against Sony. And you and Mike, y'all didn't go out the same way, but it's still the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a silent, quiet, and the way they take you out. They can't do it, but people are gonna know.
But look, you said something very interesting. The way they did Michael was a way to make it look like it was just a mistake by the doctors. The way they did Aaron is a way to make it look like, oh, he just did it himself. You understand? It's very believable either way. The doctor accidentally prescribed him too much or did it because for whatever reason. The same way with Aaron, oh, he just took too much of what he normally does. That's normal actions for him. So it'll stop people from even asking questions. No one's gonna ask questions if they already thought, hey, Michael Jackson, he was known to do these things and the doctor was just doing with his job or the doctor took advantage. Put the blame on the doctor, not the record label who Michael was coming after, who Michael was literally calling the devil and trying to expose. Same thing with the Aaron Carter though. This alone should prove to you guys that this situation should be looked at, especially since, like I said, they love doing this during the harvest. This is the time where these sacrifices, these offerings are made. And I believe Aaron was just another one of these offerings. He was in this industry. He was a Masonic puppet. He was used for the same purposes every other artist was. But the moment that he came up and started talking in a bad way about these people that run the industry, they decided to put him up next for their next offering. We already saw how many people went out this year. Things are getting stranger because before, we'd lose one person. Now is so many. It's being normalized. This evil is being normalized. So people are not asking as many questions. You understand?
They just make it look like it was his fault, and the world is gonna say, okay, it was his fault. He was taking this, he was taking that, and it caught up to him. That's what it looks like. But we know the truth, man. Come on. We come from a place where we see people doing these substances for 30, 40 years and they still good, right or wrong. They still alive. They out there roaming the streets asking for money, whatever it is that they doing, and they still living though.
I said that very same point in a previous episode. The whole situation to me is just very interesting. And going back to the Kanye West, because like you said, it could be Kanye, could be next, but I don't necessarily think so. I feel like they're gonna try to mend this relationship with Kanye eventually. There's just so many times that Kanye said things that you would think would get him taken out, but it hasn't happened. Maybe it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, he never took it this far though. Like the way he's going now is out of control. He's on a roll right now. There's nobody stopping him. He don't care who. He's not letting nobody shut him up. And he's saying, if something happens to me, it wasn't an accident.
That's the smartest thing he can say when he's trying to do what he's trying to do.
I think Kanye West could be next. If you ask me, and that's my opinion, I would hope that he's not next. God bless him. Just by the looks of things and the way it's going, he's going at everybody, the higher ups, which we know leads to nothing but bad.
I agree with you, but the thing is that they're too invested in Kanye. What Kanye represents to them is too important. Like, he has too much control over so many people. Getting rid of him would, I guess, do them more damage. He has his fans truly manipulated. He went from saying that he is a god to saying that he worships God and has his own religion, his own church, but it's really just to worship Kanye. In all honesty, he's one of the most manipulative people I've ever seen in my life. The thing is, I don't think the industry would want to do something to him like they did to Aaron Carter or Michael Jackson. Because at the point where Michael Jackson was, gone, he wasn't as influential as Kanye West is now. Kanye West still drops, very influential music. When Michael Jackson passed, don't get me wrong, he still had millions of adoring fans. He no longer was in his peak. Kanye West somehow has still managed to stay, in his peak for his entire career. Kanye disappeared, comes back, and he drops top selling numbers. And that just proves that the industry wouldn't want to get rid of someone like Kanye because they created the ultimate monster with Kanye. He's the ultimate monster. He's the one that has control over so many people. At the end of the day, they've already spent and invested way too much into Kanye for them to just, dispose of it. What I do think is going to happen is that they're going to meet a mutual gain. Kanye's going to end up apologizing for everything and going back to making music for the record labels, and the record labels are going to continue to pay him and keep him on a leash. People think that Kanye West is free or Kanye West is truly rebelling. I don't necessarily think so. Like I've said before, I think what he's doing now is for his own reasons, for himself, for selfish reasons, so that he can get what he wants, and it's mostly about money. He's turned it into this bigger picture, this bigger thing, but it's just to get the public on his side. He cannot get the public on his side if he's just talking about, oh, they stole my money, they did me dirty. He might get a few people to rally behind him, but if he gets people to rally behind him because they think he's bringing down the system or he's exposing something that they don't want us to know, people would support him much more. People would go harder for him. And Kanye knows that. That's why I said he's a master manipulator.
Yeah, it's better for when he runs for president too. Don't forget that, 2024.
Exactly. He's saying that he's going to be running for president. And that's another thing. If Kanye is voted in for presidency, I think that's the acknowledgement of the New World Order. I think that's the point where we just openly admit that this is the New World Order.
But you see, Aaron Carter, since a young kid, his mother, she had him hooked on substances since he was a young kid to keep him up, to keep him going. That could have been a part of it, That's what the industry does to these young kids. It takes them from young, it gets them hooked on these things, and they just, they control you in any way possible, bro.
Like I've said many times in the past, the parents of these children sell their children to the industry. They sell them to the industry, and the industry exploits them, uses them to make themselves millions of dollars, destroys these kids' lives, and just feeds them substances, like you said, tons of them, just gives it to them, keeps them hooked on at all times because it makes them easier to control. That's where the MK Ultra plays. And we were just talking about this with Kanye West. Kanye West ties in perfect with his entire situation because I just did a podcast with my brother on Kanye talking about his trainer trying to control him using substances and threatening to put him in an institution, all because he doesn't want to sit down with him and listen to what he has to say. That's how they're controlling these artists. The same way we see with Aaron Carter, like you said, his mother was doing that for him because his mother was being told by the industry, this is what you need to do. This is how we control him. This is how we get the most money out of him. And that's exactly what she did. This is how she was able to rob him. This is how the industry was able to rob him. And this is how the industry was able to use a child. Because at the end of the day, he came in this as a child. When you're a child, you have this innocence about you that should be respected and loved. But we already see over and over again, the industry takes advantage of this. And I do not blame the artists that get into this as a child. I do not blame them at all. I don't really blame anybody, but I truly feel bad for these people. These child stars, we think that they have such a perfect life, but in reality, their lives is 1,000 times worse than us. Yes, they got money. Yes, they have fame, but for what price? Their parents are the ones that truly enjoy it.
Yeah, of course, man. Come on. If your mother is giving you stuff to keep you awake, giving you stuff to keep you going, it's not for you. It's for her. It's for her own greed. I don't feel like it's right for a parent to do that. Someone that they birthed into this world that you're supposed to love and protect more than anything in this world. Now, after his passing, they released, I think they released it or they're releasing a book, and Hilary Duff came out and she's pissed off about it,
I believe Hilary Duff is mad because in the book it says that, they two had a relationship when they were both young and they had their first experience with each other, if you know what I'm saying, at the young age, and she's not happy about all that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see because Kanye literally was just talking about this not too long ago. We saw the exact same situation with Britney Spears, and this was after Britney Spears was already an adult. She said that they were giving her substances to control her. They were not letting her have children. They were putting her in institutions, and they kept her under this conservatorship where she had to work even when she didn't want to. She had to perform even when she felt like she couldn't. And they kept doing this to her for years. This is what they created the system for. This is MK Ultra right in our faces. It's just most people don't, when they hear MK Ultra, oh, that's nonsense. This is the techniques that the CIA was working on and spent millions of dollars to develop. They've developed the perfect technique to control these artists, to control these people, to control us all. And that's why we see all these artists talking about what? taking substances and promoting these substances that the fans sadly go and do. And this is exactly why I tell you guys not to be manipulated by these artists, because they're running this MK Ultra project on all of us. They're using the artists to get to us, and we're listening to them.
And it's sad because a lot of parents would sit there and let their kids listen to a Juice WRLD talking about, I'm taking this or I'm taking that. Like that's all he was in the industry promoting, was getting high off of all these substances that eventually took his life at the end of the day. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep allowing it.
That's a sad truth right there, because even the Juice WRLD situation, which I spoke about, was a very odd situation. But yeah, they use Juice WRLD to push this substance agenda, this lifestyle that these kids consume so openly and pay the ultimate price for living. That is not a coincidence, people. You know who owns all these substances? The people that are running this agenda. They're the ones that are making all this money and at the same time fulfilling their agenda. So it's double the gain for them. We got to understand that if we want to protect ourselves, we got to protect our mind. The first thing that they choose to attack is our mind. Ask yourself why they do that. Because our minds is the most important part. If they can control our minds, they can control everything else. And that's what they've been doing. They've been controlling our minds, and we're just allowing it. The best thing that we could do at this point is to not let the manipulation get to us. Once we wake up, once we see the truth, you can start to realize that, hey, this is why this is done. This is why all these artists talk about the same thing. This is why these artists go out the same way when they try to expose the industry. I want you guys to understand that. Aaron said the same thing. Jennette McCurdy said the same thing. Britney Spears said the same thing. Even Orlando Brown, all these childhood celebrities told us the same exact thing happened to them. And people, they don't ask what's going on. They just allow it to continue because they just want to be entertained, someone to tell them what to do, and this is exactly what this is all offering them. But when we look behind the curtain, and you can see how this whole system truly works, this is when you start feeling there's something going on and there's something we should do. It's too obvious, especially when we look at the Aaron Carter situation.
It's obvious when we look at almost all these childhood, like the big stars. We got, like you said, Orlando Brown. He is hooked on, obviously, we know he's doing something. All these young kids that grew up in the industry thinking that it's good life for them, or they living good. Like you just said, they not. They're being controlled, and when they try to speak out, majority of the time it ends up very bad for them. And we know what I'm talking about when I say that.
It's just a sad case. I want you guys to open your eyes, and I want you guys to see it for yourself. There's no point of being blind to the truth when the truth is knocking on your door. Aaron Carter, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, all these people, they have something in common. They told us straight up that this industry was controlling them. And the industry is controlling them with the main goal of controlling us. They use these celebrities to get to our minds. Like I always say, every day we wake up, our souls are at stake, and we must remember to help those who can't see the truth, find the truth. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to the Truth Movement members. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you would like to further support the channel, join the Truth Movement, or you can join me on Patreon, where I drop exclusive videos monthly. The link would be in the description. Another way you can further support the channel is by checking out the Truthfist store and seeing if you find anything you like. Every purchase you make helps with the funding of Truth Records. The link to the Truthfist store is also in the description. Also, please leave a comment on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. If you like this video, please leave a like, as it helps other people find these videos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and follow me there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.